our channel. I am Holly and this is my fiance now, Paige. And for those of you who may not know, Paige lives with type 1 diabetes. November 14th is World Diabetes Day. So in honor of that, we are going to be answering some greatly asked questions about type 1 diabetes specifically, but I suppose diabetes as a whole.
I get these questions a lot and I thought that what better time to put our reading glasses on and educate each other.
We're not doctors, in case you didn't know.
Glad we cleared that up,
Maybe
for sure.
Maybe on Halloween. Who's to say?
Or somewhere else. The bedroom.
We asked on Instagram, and amongst the inappropriate ones, we have found the top most asked questions.
We got a bunch, so we're just gonna kind of boom, 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 pop, 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 bang through them.
What do we do with the thumb page?
We blast it.
Wow.
Yeah.
For World Diabetes Day.
Yeah.
We'd really appreciate a subscribe. It helps us more than you can imagine. And also notification bell.
Ding-a-ling-a-ling. All right, let's just jump right into this video.
Jump, you say.
I'm so glad you caught me because we're not about to die. Put your goggles on and we're about to die.
Baby hair, that doesn't go there. Where does that even go?
Just cut it.
No.
Holly, this is not a good start to this.
Okay, look at it. Like a grandpa strand.
Look at me. Look down.
Help me.
It just grew funny. There.
That's not okay. It's done. No one comment on it.
Okay.
Top question by far. What were your initial symptoms prior to your diagnosis of diabetes?
It's a good question because I had no idea at the time that these were symptoms, but basically I had a really dry mouth. I constantly felt the need to pee, just constant all day, and like it would wake me up in the middle of the night. What else?
Oh God.
Sorry.
No dry mouth anymore.
I had headaches. I also thought for a while that I might have had like a UTI or a yeast infection or something. I know it's a little bit TMI going on.
Sounds glamorous.
Yes, so I actually went to the doctor for that, and once I did some blood tests, that's when I found out. So those are like the main ones. Dry mouth, needing to pee, headache,
Waking up a lot.
UTI.
Yeast infection.
Thanks for tossing that one back
I just
in.
think you should say yeast infection as much as possible for anyone not wearing headphones. Another really popular question was, how did you feel when you first got diagnosed?
I really had no clue what was in store for me. I didn't react a lot when it happened. It's not like I cried or was emotional or anything. I was just like, oh, okay. And I thought I was gonna be diagnosed and then everything would basically go back to normal. And it wasn't until like over time that I realized, wow, this has changed my life, and every action and thing that I do from here on out is gonna be different.
So how old were you when you got diagnosed?
It was October of 2015 and it was right after my 20th birthday.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, seriously, it was a good time.
I thought that people were basically born with diabetes, and I think some are. I didn't realize that people can develop it later in life.
It can happen at any point in your life, but for type 1 diabetes, I know that it is usually most common in the earlier part of your life.
Okay, next question. What are the side effects of having too high or too low glucose levels?
They do differ quite a bit. I find that with high glucose, I usually get really bad headaches, dry mouth, have to pee, which were all very similar to the symptoms I experienced before I was diagnosed.
I was gonna ask, is that because you didn't know at the time you were living with diabetes, so
my glucose levels were high,
you,
yes.
And that, oh, okay.
For low glucose levels, the best way to describe it is like I'm lightheaded, but it almost feels to me kind of like I'm a little bit drunk, except for the longer that I don't have any sugar, the worse that it gets. I feel like I can't communicate properly. Thoughts in my head, like I can't make the connections, and usually my hands get super shaky and I can be sweating profusely sometimes.
I always have the fan on her if she needs it.
Yeah, I usually get really warm as well. I don't know if this happens for everybody, but that's kind of the main stuff.
Well, from my experience, having seen you with low glucose, your sentences are a bit disjointed. I have to kind of piece together what you're saying to make sense of it sometimes.
Yes.
And that's when you're extremely low, which is thankfully a lot less common now than when we first met, which really is like a testimony to your FreeStyle Libre system, because that really changed the game.
Yeah, good.
So speaking of your FreeStyle Libre system, somebody asked, Paige, can you share about your FreeStyle Libre 2 sensor? What is it and how does it work?
Well, let me just stop you there and tell you this is actually the FreeStyle Libre 2 flash glucose monitoring system sensor.
My apologies.
Just in case.
Wow, get it right, people.
Come on. Okay, so what it is, you guys have seen this, you guys call this the sticker. This is a sensor that I can wear on either one of my arms that allows me to scan my phone on it, and I'm able to get my glucose levels right from my phone. It lets me set up customizable alarms so that I can know if my glucose levels are going high or low.
I'm hooked up to it too.
Yes.
Not the sensor obviously, but I can see what Paige's glucose levels are on my phone. So that's helped me as far as like the caretaking role, because I don't have to ask her like, where are you? Where are you at? I just get a little notification on my phone.
Basically, the whole point of the FreeStyle Libre 2 system is that it eliminates the need for finger sticks. If you've ever seen people like prick their fingers to test their glucose levels that way, I really don't have to do that very often because I get to just scan it, and that makes it so much easier. The first few years of my life living with diabetes, I didn't have it.
You were like pick and choosing when and where to test, because say like if we're in a restaurant, you don't want other people to like see it when they're eating food.
Yes.
But now it's just like boop, done, boop, done.
When you scan your sensor, it will have like directional arrows telling you where your glucose levels are headed. Am I going higher? Am I going lower? Or am I stable? Which is ideally what I'd like. I change this every 2 weeks, and I usually will like to switch arms. It's been really good, and it doesn't hurt. I can move it around. I don't feel anything with it.
So I know you kind of briefly just touched on this, but a lot of people want to know, if any, what is the pain of insertion of the sensor and your pump?
I would say there's really minimal to no pain, except for very rare occasions, like if I put it into old scar tissue or if I put it in like an awkward angle. As long as you don't do those two things and you just follow the instructions on the back, there's really minimal to no pain at all.
I know if she's had a bad one, most specifically with your pump actually, because she'll kind of put her pump sites just above her bum on her back. So if she's in bed, I'll just hear like the click kind of thing, and it'll either be absolutely nothing or ooh,
and you're like, are you okay? I just go, yep, yeah. Exactly. Okay, I've got one for you now. Ooh. Yes, very special, aren't you? Has Paige's diabetes management impacted Holly's life/habits in any way? If so, how?
Not to steal your spotlight, but yes, of course it impacted my life.
Negatively?
No, it's just more to think about, but I don't think that's negative at all. To be completely honest with you, I cared a lot more before your FreeStyle Libre system because it literally answers all my questions for me now. I don't have to bug you so much. Going out and cooking and stuff, that impacts me probably the most. I am the chef of the house.
And I am the eater.
It's not like I have to cook certain things for Paige or she can't eat certain things. I have to kind of keep track of what's going in so that she knows exactly how many carbs that she's having. But if I want a big carby meal, I just tell her, hey, we're having a big carby meal.
And I say, bring it on, sister.
It hasn't negatively impacted my life in any way. It's more to care about, more to love. Very minimal stress, especially compared to what it used to be before I got the alerts from your system. Yeah.
Love you.
I love you too. Now that I've had my 10 seconds of fame, it's back to you.
Here I am, everyone.
People want to know, what is the scariest time where you've had low glucose levels?
The scariest time was probably near the beginning when I found out that I had diabetes. Like I said earlier, I wasn't really educated on what living with diabetes would be like, and I didn't know how my body reacted to certain foods or insulin. I was kind of all over the place, really. It most often happened when I was playing sports. I was playing varsity soccer at the time, so that happened. I was just trying to get it in there.
This is serious. Sorry. Scary. Before all this new technology kind of came into your life, your lows were low. You know what I mean? You were finger pricking.
Finger sticks.
Okay, yeah. Have you considered a diabetes service animal?
You know what? I think we considered one for a while before. Near the beginning of our relationship, I think we both kind of wanted like a little dog. Yeah. A little doggy.
Yeah.
But then the FreeStyle Libre 2 system came into play. Boom. Bam. Now, there's really no need for like a service dog because it has all of the customizable alarms. They're gonna wake us up in the middle of the night if I do have a low or a high, which is kind of what a service animal for diabetes does.
Yeah. And you don't need to take this on a walk late at night when it's pissing down in rain or pick up after it.
No poo-poo for you.
If that's not FreeStyle's next slogan, opportunity wasted. Aren't we good?
We deserve a raise.
I really like this next. Has type 1 diabetes had any positive impact on your life?
Yeah, I would say it has. Yes, there are things that are stressful, things that have made my life more difficult, but I think I can appreciate my health and I'm not taking it for granted anymore. I feel like I'm more aware of the little things going on in my body. Like I can see how things affect me and impact my life, and I feel like if I didn't have diabetes, I don't think I'd have that same awareness.
Has that made you more health conscious overall because you're more aware of like what you're putting in your body instead of like me eating like a whole family pack of Doritos? You're like, better not.
Well, sometimes I'll say better not, but then I do anyways. But yes, basically. That's where those Doritos went. I always read the label for any food or drink now. So I know a lot of the labels like off by heart just to know what's going into my body. And I just feel like I am both physically and mentally tougher.
I think it's made you tougher. It was a shock when you were diagnosed. There is tons of research and information you needed to learn, understand, and master. And I know it's brought you a lot closer with other people who also live with diabetes. You've got so many friends and support groups and stuff.
And it's kind of cool to be able to educate, or at least try to educate other people on it, because I feel like a lot of people don't know what diabetes is, much less like how day-to-day life goes. So if I can educate one of you, I've done my job. Doctor.
On Halloween only. Me again.
Yes, get the spotlight on her. All right. After that one time Holly saved Paige's life, has Paige had another low glucose level reading?
Yes. Shall I expand?
I feel like perhaps you should.
There's only been about like 2 in 6 years. One was when I saved her life the first time, and then the second time was at the cottage. There was a lack of a sugar source of sugar. Jesus, sorry. Oh my god, I feel like I'm okay? At home, we have a really good inventory of juices, candies, anything Paige may need. So if she is heading lower in glucose, you know, she can get herself back up there, which is a scientific term, by the way. When we were up there at the cottage, we thought we had juice boxes. We didn't. Thought we had candy. We didn't. So there was panic involved then. When you scanned your FreeStyle Libre sensor, it said straight down. So we're like, oh, okay. We know what we're dealing with.
Yeah.
And we have nothing to make that arrow go up. So basically I was mixing sugar in water, tons of sugar. It must have been awful to digest.
If anyone's ever had sugar water, you'd think, oh, not bad. I'm telling you, it's one of the worst flavored items in the world.
I was pumping her full of sugar water. It was just after we'd finished dinner, so she was already full. Now she's drinking tons and tons of this awful liquid to the point where, like, you wanted to be sick. You felt so awful. But the thing is, she couldn't be sick because then all the sugar leaves her body. I felt so helpless and sorry for you, and I wanted to take it all away, but you were so effing strong and resilient, kept it all down. It was just a waiting game, really. Oh, I poured maple syrup in your mouth as well as a break from sugar water.
No wonder I can't look at that the same.
This is a nice question.
All right.
What can I do to support a friend who lives with diabetes?
Wow.
No pressure.
I'd say a big one would be to be open to them venting to you. There's like a lot of emotions and things that can go through your head. Having that all build up can get extremely frustrating and can make me extremely anxious. Try and educate yourself. Get to know what the signs and symptoms are, like how that affects and impacts the person and what you can do to help them. For me, whenever I'm surrounded by people that know how they could handle me if my glucose does go low, I feel so much better. I'm so much less anxious.
Paige, this is your chance, hun. This is a little hitch for you to get all of your anger and frustration out. What is the biggest misconception you know when it comes to diabetes?
Oh, Jesus. There's just so many. A key one for me is...
Let it out.
Sorry. A key one for me is that people think that people with diabetes can't eat certain things. Or can't do certain things.
Yes.
It's literally a myth, and we can do whatever anybody else is doing.
Absolutely.
Better. No, people will be like eating chocolate or something, and they'll be like, do you want a piece? Oh wait,
sorry, I forgot.
Yeah, but give me the chocolate. I can eat this bitch.
The thing is, they tell you what to do. Like, it's not your concern. Paige lives with diabetes. Paige manages her diabetes so well. Don't worry. Don't tell her what she can and can't eat, what she can and can't do, what she should or shouldn't be doing. Absolutely not. I hope that you get that. It really angers me. Sorry, wow, I really took your platform there, but I just love you. Sorry for the rant. Proceed. I know you've got at least one more.
How did you know?
Because we discussed these before.
The second biggest myth, actually this might even be number one if I had to reverse them, is that type 1 diabetes comes from diet, like whatever I've eaten, like having too much sugar. That's just not the case at all. It has nothing to do with my diet. It's a genetic autoimmune condition, so literally this wasn't my fault. So just because I ate some candy or some chocolate as a child is not the reason why I live with diabetes today. Okay?
When you've trick-or-treated one too many times. Should not have eaten that 75th pack of Smarties.
It's like, uh-oh. That did not happen!
Final question, and I think this one is really, really important, and it's one reason why I love Paige so much. The question is, what daily things do you need to think about that people without diabetes don't?
Oh, it's everything, literally everything. Back when I was first diagnosed, I had no idea what my life was going to entail afterwards. I have to think about it at all times of the day. I'd like to say, you know, it doesn't faze me, but it does impact everything. Like from the moment I wake up, I'm thinking about what carbs are in the foods or the drinks that I'm eating, how I slept last night, the weather, the list goes on. It's like stress levels, physical activity I've done, physical activity I'm about to do. Everything is like a calculation in my head that I have to think about in order to try and find some sort of answer to keep my glucose levels in a safe range, and every day is completely different. I can eat one thing one day and then have that exact same thing the next day, and my glucose levels will react completely different. There are just so many things that go into figuring out and calculating how much insulin I should be giving myself. Whenever I go out in public or basically leave the house at any time, I have to make sure I've always packed glucose with me, and usually I take it in the form of juice boxes or some candy. And I know that's now become a responsibility for you as well, and I like it. I appreciate it so much.
Paige is very indecisive as a person. So for instance, this is one thing that I'm like, oh my god, she's got to think about this too. The other day, right, we were having like a nice cute breakfast, and we had a cream bun, which is basically like a donut with jam on it, and I'm like, oh my god, and I like woof mine back, right? And then Paige, she was doing mine as hers was already prepared, so she had already taken the insulin needed to consume this donut. By the time she had made mine, I got my ass out of bed and we were gonna eat together. She looked at me and she's like, I don't even want it anymore. Like, I want something else. But because she had already taken the insulin for that donut, she has to eat the freaking donut.
Yeah.
And for me, it's like, if I don't want it and I change my mind, boom, back in the fridge, see ya. For you, it was like, I'm committed to the donut.
I have married that donut, yes.
You know, I've been with you for 6 years, and this just happened last week, and it really does impact everything. I know it's just a donut and it's not that deep, but it kind of is that deep, and it's little micro decisions like that throughout my day that I don't think twice about, but you have to. And it makes me sad, but also you're so strong and resilient that you don't complain, you don't let it get you down, you're not defeated, you just attack it every day, and you manage it so well. You're just magnificent and a huge role model for anyone who has just been diagnosed or lives with any type of diabetes. I think you're a massive inspiration.
Really nice. Thank you. Do you have any more questions for me, or is that it?
Do you love me?
Yes.
That's it then.
Okay. I should have known that one was coming. Why do you love Holly?
Yeah. Tell everybody why you love her, starting with number 1 and ending with 999.
Written by Holly.
Yeah.
Hopefully you guys are able to learn a thing or two from this, and even if you already knew about diabetes or like certain things, in the comments below, if you have a question yourself about what it's like living with diabetes, or if you had a question that I answered that you found shocking or surprising, I'd love to hear that too. We always love feedback for everything, but this one especially hits close to home. So if you guys want to learn more about the FreeStyle Libre 2 system, you can go to freestylelibre.ca to check it out.
Canadian.
Hell yeah!
Well, questions answered, myths busted.
Chocolate about to be eaten, pre-planned in advance.
Because that's how wild she gets.
I hope there's music with that, you know? Yeah, that's it.
It's very awkward on my part. Okay, let's wrap this up. Thank you for watching. Hopefully you learned something. Leave a comment, and happy World Diabetes Day.
Love you guys!